everyone, welcome back to another video. I recently saw this article and, well, the article really speaks for itself. Being non-binary makes voting in the election harder. Now, obviously, the election they're talking about is in the UK, which has come and gone. And obviously, the article was written on July 2nd, but it still makes for some relatively good content nonetheless, because how you decide to vote nowadays is quite volatile, depending on which side of the aisle you want to lean towards. And it's also rather interesting because you have a lot of people that you can't please everybody, right? But for a lot of people that claim to be part of the LGBT whatever narrative, they don't seem to feel like they're being represented enough in positions of parliament. So they'll rant and rave and yell and scream until they get someone that represents them. But the thing is, like, you got to look at the majority, not the little minority group with a very loud voice nonetheless. But anyway, this particular person wanted to have a whinge. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. Dee Whitnell is the person's name. So this is exactly the person. And you have the self-love tattooed on this person's chest, as well as they tattoo on the wrist. So what does that tell you? And this is a person behind Trans Plus History Week. They've got a week now. Not bad enough. They've got a bloody month or almost 200 other days of the year. They got a Trans Plus History Week. Man, that's something. As I opened the envelope last summer during the beginning of a warmer weather and an aptly of Pride season, I felt like I was opening the next chapter of my life. It was beautiful. It was amazing. The envelope contained my deed poll, a legal document that proved I changed my name, and receiving it was one of the most joyful and emotional moments of my transition. I identify as non-binary, and the deed poll confirms my name is, at long last, Dee Whitnell. Good for you, mate. Of course, I had to celebrate my own name day, cake in the shape of a heart, which I ate in 24 hours by myself. You poor thing. How lonely would have that been? I'm going to celebrate my own name change. Who wants to join me? We're going to have cake, people. Man, if I did that, my mates would go, forget it. I'm not even going to bother showing up. Oh, boy. Anyway. But I haven't always been able to celebrate my identity in this way. Far from it. For as long as I can remember, I love that sentence, I've never felt like a boy or a girl. Somewhere felt in the middle, and I want to change from day to day or minute to minute or second to second or millisecond to millisecond, whichever how I feel, one way from the next. I'm not confined by restrictions, man. I didn't fit into either group at school and either isolated myself by hanging out on my own. You poor thing. That would have been extremely lonely. I really do feel for you because I thought I was the only one to experience these feelings. Well, evidently not, mate, because there's a lot of other people nowadays, especially in the world of TikTok, that seem to feel the exact same way. Sadly, it's not a good thing. Or threw myself into hyperfemininity to try to convince myself that I was a girl. I grew my hair long, fake tanned, and wore my school shirt rolled up to make it shorter because that's what the girls do. It wasn't until I saw an episode of Hollyoaks, which featured a trans character, Jason Costello, previously named Jasmine Costello. I wonder if that's considered dead naming if you say previously. Can't say their previous name. Who knows? Played by Victoria Atkin, that I had my first light bulb moment. Amazing how people just look at a movie or look at a video from TikTok and they go, light bulb, that's me. Finally, someone understood how it felt to feel so confused in your body and finally gave me a word to put to that feeling, dysphoria. Oh, that's a big word. Very big word. Now, personally, this person actually looks like a woman, but the whole woke mind virus really does a number on people. It really does. The only issue was that this character was a trans man. And for a while, I thought perhaps I too was a trans boy. Exploring my masculinity was really freeing, but it didn't feel right. I wasn't a boy. Fast forward to my early 20s, and one day in the middle of lockdown, I had my second light bulb moment when I discovered the term non-binary randomly on Instagram. Okay, instantly I knew this identity was mine. I explained every concern, or it explained every concern, issue, or feeling I had about myself, my body, my identity, and how others saw and spoke about me. I could finally put a word to my feelings and my expression. I was no longer alone because this one word gave me purpose, gave me a real sense of identity. Non-binary. I don't fit in a binary narrative. That's why I am non-binary, people. Since then, I've been openly non-binary, exploring my transness and queerness online. Hang on a minute. Didn't you just say that you didn't feel like you were a boy? So isn't that trans? But now you feel non-binary and then you're exploring transness as well as queerness. My goodness, mate. You can't keep up with these people. It's just, I can't honestly understand why they're so messed up in their head. This stuff is just so out there. It's really confusing. Mostly on social media like Instagram and TikTok. And I made the leap to change my name in 2023 to something I felt more me and genderless. Yeah, D is really genderless. I have a friend named D, female. Okay. There is so much legal pushback when it comes to being non-binary. Changing my name by deed poll meant submitting an online form and paying a fee. Oh, dear, we can't have that. At least the government's going to make some money from people that believe in this nonsense. Lucrative business, really is. While I had been out as non-binary using they, them pronouns in every area of my life since I discovered the label, it wasn't until I legally changed my name that I decided to tell my family that I identify as non-binary. That would have gone down well. I think they were more confused about my name change than my gender identity. My mum struggled with getting her head around why I wanted to legally change my name rather than just go by D and have my dead name on legal documents, because it's too offensive. But she also told me she always had a feeling about how I identify. So it wasn't a shock per se, just something she'd have to practice and get accustomed to. However, even though it's been pretty smooth sailing with my friends and family, there is so much legal pushback when it comes to being non-binary. So evidently, that's why it's hard for me to vote certain ways. Not only am I legally not recognized? Oh, we've got to have that. We've got to have them legally recognized, people. Otherwise, they don't exist. If they're not legally recognized, where are they? I don't see them anymore. But in regards to legislation, I've never seen non-binary folks represented in any form of media or even considered when exploring identities which differ from, the word that I hate, unless it's to use my identity as a practical pawn. Well, how in the world are you actually going to have this so-called term non-binary, whatever the hell that means, represented in movies or in legislation? It doesn't make any sense, man. It doesn't. You can't be nothing. It doesn't work at all. I hate to break it to you, but how are you going to get representation when you don't even know how to represent yourself? All you say is you're non-binary. That's the only thing you say that you represent as, but nothing else. It defies all common sense or logic, man. So, of course, I am glad there's a general election and I want to vote. But as a non-binary person, that's difficult. Not only do I have to face a constant churning of anti-trans plus manifestos, headlines, and debates, oh boy, which means I have to distance myself from political discussions for my own well-being, but I have to jump through hoops just to simply exercise my democratic right to vote. The government's demand of photo ID means that non-binary folks like myself have to apply for further ID or risk being turned away or outed at the polling station. Oh, we can't have that, because guess what, people? Every non-binary person's Vote counts. It matters. It really does. I have a deed poll, but unfortunately, as of right now, my passport and driver's license don't reflect my new name. This means if I go to the polls with my current ID, which has my dead name on it, I could be turned away because the electoral register has my new name on it. Well, don't vote, man. Simple. Don't vote. I think in the UK, you don't really have to vote. I don't think it's compulsory to vote. It's only compulsory to vote here in Australia if you're a citizen. You may be asking, D, why haven't you updated your legal documents? And people that are in the UK, please correct me if I'm wrong about voting. Well, that's simple. Well, that's simple, really. Money, time, and difficulty. Not only is it costly and time consuming, but as I am non-binary and use the title MX, updating my legal documents is harder than for binary trans plus people, apparently. At least with trans people, they, I guess, choose to go with either male or female. Just they've chosen to identify as that. With non-binary people, it's just like, I'm nothing. I'm in the middle. Whatever the hell that means. For example, when updating your passport because you've transitioned, they ask if your gender identity has changed. I can't change mine as a non-binary gender marker isn't an option. Gee, I wonder why that is. I wonder why. Come on, government, give these people the option to be non-binary on a document. It isn't this magical moment like opening my deed poll letter. Rather, it's a lot of explaining, having my identity criticized and analyzed, and having to pay for the privilege. With these additional barriers when it comes to voting, it's easy to understand why so many non-binary people may avoid going to the polls because the process is not made for non-binary people or those who have updated their name and or gender on their ID. Because we happen to like things that make sense and actually work in society. Like many trans plus people, putting a plus at the end of it nowadays, I wonder what that means. I decided to complete a voter authority certificate. This is an additional free photo ID provided for folks like me. However, during this process, I was told by the website that I could simply take my deed poll and my passport and should be allowed to vote as my photo still looks like me because I haven't medically transitioned, but should doesn't fill me with confidence. Got to have complete confidence. I've got to have actually something that's dedicated for me. I've got to see my representation on a legal document, damn it. Give it to me. Whatever happens, if I'm turned away because my ID name doesn't match my name on the electoral register, what will happen? I'll be turned away. Can't do that. Will I then have to out myself? Oh, the horror. And explain my situation in an environment which may not be queer friendly. Oh, the trauma. Be so horrendous. I feel for you. I really do. Well, I'm banking on the should and will hopefully vote in this general election. We all know who won, people. And I was told that I didn't need a voter authority certificate, so I'm risking it. Oh, I'm just going to risk it. Why not? Let's do it. YOLO, man. Haven't heard that saying in a while. Anyway, even though there are barriers put in place for trans plus people, those who can vote should vote so we can ensure things change for the better for our community. And God forbid that these people are not allowed to vote. Indeed. Anyway, my friends, you take care. You be blessed. I'll see you all in the next video.